Good evening and welcome back to another edition of Beyond the Backstage Pass. I am your host, Vince Edwards. You may know me from Sound Image Productions. I also have a couple closed groups for roadies on Facebook, one called Death by Loadout and another one called The Backstage Pass. Come over and check us out. Tonight with me is my dear friend and co-host, Mr. Kyle Thomas. How you doing, brother?
Pretty good, man. Another day, another dog biscuit.
Yeah. I think you're going to start getting some dog biscuits in the mail. These folks been talking
they've
dog
been
biscuits
piling.
and rewarding you proper. I think they don't not treating you good.
Piling up.
Yeah.
My freezer's completely full. Please stop sending me cookies.
His dog biscuit quota has been reached. Thank you, people. We love you for that.
Yeah.
So what's new with you, baby?
Man, so I just want to give a short shout out to Sean Dama's new company, SMD Productions and Lighting.
That's Winston's son?
Winston's son, yeah.
Good
Started
kid.
a new
Very
company.
good.
I keep on seeing new photos of the gigs he's starting up, so I just want to give him a little mention. We're happy for you, man.
That's
We're proud of you.
SMD Lighting and Productions?
Yeah, you got it.
Oh, those guys, they got good things coming. I see the future is bright for them.
Yeah.
See what I did there, that light joke?
And
Yeah.
of course, we had William Snoopy in today.
Oh, William Snoopy Farquhar?
Yeah.
Of William Snoopy Farquhar Audio?
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, the captain.
I think we're using some of his gear just sporadically spread out through our set. So,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're super appreciative. Always great to see him when he comes in. Always joins us for lunch. He's been meeting up with you every week for
decades.
Yeah.
For a long time. He's a dear friend. He's like my uncle, my brother, my best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is a very, very close friend, a dear man. And it's always good to see him. You know, he lives on that boat out in the Bay Area, and so I worry on him that he's getting enough attention because he's a little up there in age and he wants to keep care of himself, and we want him to be around for a while. So I'm glad he takes care of himself. But he did grace us with today. He was here for lunch and dinner, and yesterday we had a nice lunch.
I know, 2 days in a row.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
spoiled.
It's a rare goddamn thing, and so it's super great to see the Snoop. No two ways about it.
Speaking of your best friends, I always see in the shop here. Got to mention Paulie Montero's band because we've been doing rehearsals for those guys. It's been great to see their band working so hard and actually generating some really good content.
Yeah, they did some great music last night right here in this very space. They sounded amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think that also comes down to your work on the monitor console. You're dialing them in. They get, I think, I forget, the singer was telling me that he had the best sound he's ever had.
Oh, it's
through
great.
his ears.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
actually said that, and I was like, "Come on, man!" It's like, "No, seriously." And I was like, "Yeah, the kid's fucking sharp."
Yeah, it's cool. This console, I mean, even though we're printing out every rehearsal just to have the recordings and hopefully formulate an album later,
Yes, sir.
I think having a board mix going while you're doing monitor is always fun. So it's something to listen back to and at least print your board tape out for the day.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's oldest time we used back in the day. I mean, the board tapes we got are fucking copious from the days of recording.
Well, it's funny.
Shows and
Speaking of that, it's like going from a couple days ago we did the Campo Kaizo shoot, the camp that burnt down.
yeah, that was sad.
And
great,
it's like-
great cause for the kids, for sick kids.
Oh,
to go to this camp every
unbelievable.
year. Yeah, and we've been blessed to work with them over 20 years. And then last year when we had the fires, the camp burned down. So what have you helped out set up for that?
Well, it's that we just did an event where kind of shooting some pre-roll for one of their fundraisers to so raise awareness to it, gain some money.
Absolutely.
But it's funny going from doing something like that where you have more matrix outputs than you do actual inputs to a rock show like 20 minutes, maybe an hour later. But I don't know, it made me feel like I was actually working.
Yeah, you were gigging. I was gigging.
Yeah.
Well, we got to make the best of what we got right now, and I feel like that's exactly what we're doing.
I know.
I mean, that's the whole mission of this shop right now is, keep the name out there, keep the work going, kind of keep our chops up, talk to our friends. This show is all about that, reaching out to our friends so we don't feel alone. We all got each other kind of thing.
Yeah, seriously, we're missing our Thursday meals with Steve Orgain, so I guess
Steve
hopefully...
Orgain. Now, this is a dear friend. I love this guy. He's a sponsor of the show. He's got the Chef's Touch, one of the best caterers in rock and roll.
Delicious.
Last guy to have dinner with, one of the last people to see
Bill Graham, right?
Bill Graham. I mean, just
Fucking
the world
legend.
is so weird that way, He literally ate with Steve at the Concord Pavilion. I think it was a Red Hot Chili Pepper show or something. And they had dinner, and then Bill got on the helicopter, and 5 minutes later he passed away. They crashed. And yeah, just a small one. But he's a darling man, and although I miss him on Thursdays, I appreciate all he's done for us. So thank you, Steve, and Chef's Touch, and of course his lovely wife. You know, it's a team.
Oh yeah, she's so sweet. Isn't she the best when she comes up in front of the house? She just hangs out for a bit.
Good girl, good girl. You're good people, man.
So, after we did that, I think a couple days ago, we were blessed to, speaking of Bill Graham, we had his rabbi in here.
That's correct. That's
How
right.
fucking cool was that, dude?
Yeah. Well, we did it. Well, he's an amazing guy. I mean, he's about to turn 75. We want to do a little thing for him. You know, he's the kind of the rabbi to the stars. I mean, you know, I can't really name names, but like he's the guy.
Well, he must be important if he got your ass dancing. So earlier, there is about 70, maybe, I don't even, how many years of experience? Well, we won't even look at it like that. There's a bunch of old farts with ponytails
Oh,
dancing.
we're in the hundreds of years of that.
And,
Yeah. They asked us to record something to that song, Get Happy.
Yeah, happy.
Right, and so we threw up a screen here, a big emoji of a big smiley face to the kind of Get Happy theme. And the music kicked off, and then there was a bunch of dorky 30 to 70-year-old dudes.
Yeah. After 20 seconds, the whole room's just deep breathing and struggles.
Yeah, that was kind of sad. Huh? Some of those old guys, that 20 seconds really took it out of us, man. Got our asses handed to us a little bit. Yeah. There was literally like 3 of us went and sat down on the bleachers.
Yeah.
All right, I need a minute. It was a little pathetic, but the love was there. We did it for a good cause. It's the wonderful Rabbi Langer. He's going to be 75, so we were happy to do it. Wished him his best, wished him a happy birthday and all that. He's a good guy.
So super nice, man.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have these problems. That's one thing I say. Hey, listen, if you're watching us on YouTube, Facebook Live, or Twitch, hit the subscribe button for me. We can push like if you like what we're doing. Helps us out with the algorithms, push us out to the world, get to more folks. Want to thank the normal hardcore crew of brothers and sisters that reach out to us that are here with us tonight. Pat O'Doul, Patrick Eggerman, the great Charlie Zaricki, Clint Wensley, Noah the Beard Tanner, Tony Lewis, John Del Rio, Jay Hawk from the Infirmities, Ian Peacock, Scott Perlman, Snoop Dogg, the Snoopy himself, and Sean Dama. Of course, we have Winston Dama in the shop. So, hey, Winston.
Hi.
He's playing over on one of the boards right now, doing what he does. Scott Cheney, Joe Victoria, one of my favorite people. One of my favorite shows we ever did was Joe Victoria. He's
such a badass, man.
He's like the video god, Rolling Stones, Metallica. I don't think he's missed one Metallica show in their whole career. He's always filming but
he
he's
stayed
one
busy.
of the nicest guys ever.
He stayed busy all through this COVID, man.
Yeah, he did that basketball thing at the Chase, I guess that would just happen or whatever. He always sends those photos where he's jumping in midair. I don't know how he does it. The guy's like a friggin' Tigger or some shit. It's awesome. Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. Hey, listen, we got a great guest.
We sure do.
We're really lucky. We're lucky. I don't know any other way to put it. We have some really great friends that have done some amazing things, and every so often we trick them into coming here and sitting down and telling stories with us. So Steve's here. Hi, Steve. And the great Pat O'Doul. Pat, I got it right this time. Pat, I need a dog biscuit for that one. All right. Listen, our guest tonight has worked with some amazing artists, a really vast, diverse array from ABC, the great pop band. I actually love ABC. They're a super fun band.
Me too.
He's mixed Prince. He's tour managed for Lady Gaga. He's been out with Oingo Boingo. Rick James, goddammit. Rick James, Rich? Yeah, I'm talking like he's seen and done. He's a mix engineer. He's a tour manager. He's a production manager. He's a badass. He's our dear friend. We're very lucky to have him. Tonight we have Jeffrey Rasmussen. What's up, Raz?
What is up, brother?
What up,
Thank
beautiful
you for
man?
having me.
So good to have you, brother. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, this is
now,
cool.
I don't know if there's a rule. Maybe we look this up, FCC, if there's any rule about coming out and being cooler than the host. I don't know. Maybe there's something, I don't know, but you're pulling that off tonight.
That's not possible in your case, I don't think. So.
That's very sweet of you to josh me like that, but I know when I'm being one up for the pretty party. Have you been doing what's new in your life?
Well, things are looking up.
Yes.
Everything seems to feel a little lighter right now, and
Yeah, I agree. This has been a tricky year, and I've been some craziness in the air, some weird kind of chaotic communication stuff with, feeling a little untethered. It feels like
it's like in the planets, I think, all that kind of stuff.
Feels like things are getting reeled in a little bit. And I can kind of see a light at the end of the tunnel. Some shows are getting booked. My friends are going out. I think we've picked up a few shows for the ass end of the summer.
Right.
That's really encouraging.
Right. It feels like things are kind of starting to roll.
Yes, sir.
At least a little bit.
Yeah. Your lips to God's ears, but that's the feeling, and I feel like we're going in the right
feel
direction.
that way too.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. See ya.
Yeah. Find
knock
some
on
wood.
wood,
I got it
case.
covered.
Knock on
All right.
case.
Listen, here at this show, not to get too far into the weeds, but here at the show, of course, we're very interested in the origin story. What brought you to the sound industry? What brought you to live production?
It's a long story.
Well, we don't have that kind of time to Raz, work with me.
In a nutshell, I started as a kid. I started playing guitar. I was 4 years old when I got my first guitar. By the time I was 12 years old, I had a band, and we were getting paid. I was making money. I had a top 40 band all through high school, where we amassed a system and everything, PA system.
Yeah.
And other bands wanted to sound like us. And so I started renting out my system on the condition that I came with it.
Yeah.
You
got to supervise it.
Yeah, well, it was like, we're going to mix it for you, and we're going to make sure you don't blow up any of our other gear as well.
That's right.
And then that's how I started mixing, basically.
Wow, that's a very organic story. Bernie Broderick's story is almost identical to that. He started out in a band. He was a guitarist, loved what he did. Eventually, he started kind of noodling out on the gear, and before you know it, people were like, "Hey, can you make me sound good too?" And 35 years later, 40 years later, he's one of the #1 speaker design legend there is. And look what you've done. So now I'm not going to come at you linearly. I'm not going to do, and you started in '74, and I'm going to jump around a little bit, okay, if you don't mind.
Like a movie that way.
But your career is really extraordinary, interesting. First of all, we're lucky to get to pull you in for our big stuff here at Sound Image, and you're an absolute blessing to us. So when we get lucky enough to pull you when you're not so busy and you can come and do stuff with us, it's always a treat.
I love coming up here to work and do shows up here.
Well, you're one of my favorite, visiting engineers by far. I mean, there's just and you're a badass. You got an ear that's above reproach. It's amazing. But let me dig around in your career a little bit.
Yeah.
I mentioned in the intro that you mixed and were production manager for the one and only Rick James. Talk to us about that.
What do you say about Rick? Rick, as crazy as people perceived Rick had a heart of gold.
Yeah.
He was super cool, man. I mean,
He kind of oozed cool.
he oozed cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and like the Dave Chappelle thing, it's not. I mean, I heard him say it.
Yeah.
I've been in a place where I heard him say that.
Yeah. No, that sketch will live forever in infamy. Charlie Murphy, who passed, I believe, recently, sadly, but he was an incredible dude in his own right. Eddie Murphy's older brother, and that story is a classic Rick James story. The white couch. They never should have given you any money. That's hilarious. That's absolutely hilarious. Do you ever get up to any of the crazy that we, I never one-on-one with him, but, I think we provide racks and stacks towards his end of his thing. He came in with control services and his own guys, and we were just kind of in the wings, and he would turn up missing quite a bit. think he was involved in other periodic table sports in the bathroom.
Extracurricular activities.
Yes. Well, man, I swear to God, when he'd come out, when it was like time to hit the stage, and they'd hit the flashlight and bring him up, he'd just come out on fire.
He would every time. Yeah. Every time he hit the stage, he was on fire, and he controlled the audience.
Yeah, he had a way to lift you up.
He did.
He push you back, pull you in.
He did. But
pro.
and he lifted him up through the whole show. Though he could just hold the audience for the whole show. It was amazing to watch.
Yeah, he was,
and be a part of it.
I think he was one of those guys, there's a few of them in the game that was born to be Rick James. He was born to be a rock star. He had it in him. It's just in his makeup.
Totally.
Yeah, the charisma just kind of just flowed out of him. Speaking of charisma just flowing out of him, born to be a rock star, a true universal legend, just I think kind of skips all kind of genres and ages. Everybody, I think, has some love for this artist. You were front of house for Prince.
I was very, very lucky.
The purple one.
Yeah.
Prince was a badass. Talk to us about your experiences with Prince.
His purpleness. Well, people. I've had to tell these stories a few times. People always love. Basically, I give it to you in a nutshell. As I was in LA and I get the call, and they're like, "We want you to come do it right away." I'm like, well, the best thing I can do is, fly out tomorrow morning. Okay, I fly out tomorrow morning. I fly from LA to Boston, right?
Yes, sir.
To the Fleet Center.
Oh, man.
And I get there, it's like 5:30 or something. And my buddy Charlie Lawson, I'm sure you know
Yep.
Charlie. Charlie has already, they've done the sound check and all that, and I get up on the riser. It's 2 consoles. It's a XL4 and an XL3, and I'm looking at it, and they're like, yeah, well, it went pretty good in the sound check, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound good to me. And I'm looking at the board, and there's like not a knob that has been turned. Everything it's already mixed into a whole. And I go, I want to do a sound check, and they're like, what? You want Prince to come back out here and do a sound check? I'm like, well, yeah. I go, do you want it to sound good or not?
Yeah.
And so they get on the radios and all stuff, and then, Prince comes out there finally, and he's like, okay, what's up? Like, you're the new guy or whatever, right? Yeah. I want to do a sound check because this, the board. Oh, here comes the disclaimers. That's what he said to me, and I go, look, man. It's not a disclaimer. I go, do you want it to sound good or not? I go, I can't work from nothing. I go, let me start over at least and give me a chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he looks over, okay. And so, short story long, they bring him his microphone, and he sits in front of me in front of house right there, right?
Prince.
And he's got his cool glasses on, and it was when he was wearing the gold things on his ears and all that, right?
Right.
And his monitors. Well, he didn't have the monitors on. And he's like, he comes out there, and I go, okay, we're going to start sound check, and I have the mic to the stage, and basically, all right, let me hear the kick drum. And, he's sitting out there. He's got his mic so he can intercede or whatever you want to call it. And so he's like, I go, okay, let me hear the kick drum. And I mean, it hits like once and maybe 1.5,
Yeah.
Stop. And he looks back at me over over his glass. He goes, I want George Clinton's kick drum, not Bon Jovi. So immediately I just I floored the highs, I floored the lows, I cut the mid, and I just turned it way the hell up. And I go, okay, give me the kick drum. And he turns around and he goes, snare. So that was
It was a consummate
those were like
professional.
that was like in the first 10 minutes that I worked with him. That's what happened right there.
Wow. Yeah. No, Prince is he's legendary. We've had a few of his guys on the show before, and we've been lucky enough to do a few things with him. And he was one of a kind. He was one of a kind. Some nights it was like, give me all the bottom you can throw at me. Other nights I want none of that. It was like he would a la carte sound based on moods,
Yeah.
And then he would curate. It was not up beyond coming into front of house, into the enclosure and kicking it with you and blowing in your ear.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
People say you couldn't talk to him, but like I talked to him every single day that I was on the board during the tour.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's different points of Prince's career. Right after Purple Rain, he had that immediate success. He could play everything. He just lived and breathed music, and he got a little, when the full-fledged stardom hit him, he got a little irascible sometimes. But with time, as he came and developed as an artist and kind of matured, that kind of went away. So depending on where you caught him in his career, it could have been very much on the approach and how the interaction would be. And I think towards the end of his life, he got considerably more gentle and amenable to getting in a professional outcome. So makes perfect sense they'd call you, and that had to be a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Yes, sir. Again,
I learned a lot from him. I have to say I learned a lot from him.
The guy, in his own right, as a mix engineer, is a badass. In his own right.
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't any album that he ever did that he didn't mix down.
No, I know.
If he could have figured out a way to actually mix front of house while perforing, he probably would have tried to do that too.
And he would come out there during the sound checks and stuff.
Yeah. He was a hands-on guy. Simple as that.
Exactly.
And he knew it was one of those rare artists who actually knew the technology. He actually he was right there with you. He understood signal path workflow. He understood all that. And yeah, he was heavy. That was one you couldn't really sleep on or phoned it in. There was no fucking phantom knobs on him. That wasn't working.
No, you couldn't phone it in on him.
You had to bring it with him. So we're talking about one of the largest artists in the world, Prince. Literally, at the time of his passing, he was literally considered one of the biggest rock stars in the world. But moving on in your career, somebody who easily, in her own right, that just blew the hell up 2 years in a row. She held the ticket sales records which was the great Lady Gaga. You tour managed for Lady Gaga.
I did. I did a short stint.
How was that?
It was amazing.
Yeah, she puts on a big fucking show.
Yeah, it was like
it's a real deal.
It was promo stuff for the Born This Way record.
Yeah.
So
that thing blew. That thing
blew
stratospheric.
Up. And so we did like the Video Music Awards in Belfast, and we did a TV show in Manchester, England. I think it's Whistle Stop or whichever one that is. And,
sure.
You know, we did the Bambi Awards in Germany, and we went to Tokyo for some TV show, and
a lot of fun.
It was great.
My chick was asking about Tokyo recently. I was telling her that is one of the most insane, blown up, over the top. It makes Las Vegas look like a light show with a light switch. It's like insane. And I know you're a fan of Japan.
Love Japan.
You spend a lot of time there?
Well, I haven't recently. I'm overdue for a trip, but yes, over my career, I've been lucky to go more than 20 times. And, the shortest time was like a week, and then multiple 3 and 4 week tours and stuff like that.
Yeah, see, now that's the way to go to Japan. You hit the Budokan, go through Kobe, go through all, Tokyo, I'm telling you, Yokohama, all those great cities. Did you have you ever been to Mount Fuji?
Well, you've seen it. I didn't actually go up there, but when you ride the bullet trains, you can watch it going by.
It's pretty prominent. It's a beautiful. It's like a postcard, that damn thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I did though, in a cheesy move. The one time ever I was a guitar tech for an artist, get to stand on the stage and say, "This is a song from our new album."
Oh, that's funny.
The Live at Budokan thing, the
That's
cheap
awesome.
thing.
Yeah. If you think about the history of the Live at Budokan recordings, that is if you're going to record live, Budokan is as good a place as any. I mean, the history is rich and deep on that.
Oh yeah,
a lot of great live albums have come out of that place.
Yeah, and it's a lot smaller than people think it is.
Yeah.
But it sounds great in there. It's tight.
And Japanese audiences will work with you. Joe Jackson prefers to tour specifically in Japan because he can get it. He doesn't like when people clap. You know how he is. So, and he's an extraordinary musician. He's got one of the best bands in music. And so when he goes, he wants to play your song, and you kind of politely kind of nod and be like, "Yeah, that was good." And then he goes to his next one. So the only place he can really find an audience that will cooperate that way is Japan. They're very studious folk, and. Yeah, it's a special place. I advise anybody who haven't been there, find your way. It's an extraordinary spot.
Extraordinary, yes.
Yes, sir. I have to ask you, we were doing research on, now I've known you for a great long time, but I didn't know, I was digging through some stuff on you, and I found some stuff where you were at the White House in the press room. Talk to us about that. What the hell, were you trying to take over the country, or what was the plan?
Yes, I am going to run in an undetermined year at this point. No, I'm through my work with the Steve Miller Band, I met a guy he works in the government in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And he was friends with a guy in the band,
Gotcha.
And he would be hanging around backstage, and I probably hassled him the first couple times. Hey, what are you doing back here, or whatever? And we got to be really good buddies and stuff. And subsequently, he's got me. I've been so lucky to have 3 tours of the White House, 2 2 on one wing, 1 on another. Yeah. And then the same guy got me a tour at the Supreme Court.
Wow.
When nobody was there. I got to go in the library of the Supreme Court, in the actual Supreme Court. And the basketball court that's at the Supreme Court, which they call the highest court in the land. little plan words.
Yeah,
it's silly.
That's pretty fascinating. Yeah, the history of our country in that building, and I've never been in the Supreme Court. That I could see that being quite intriguing.
The same guy, I went to actually do a gig promoting the Rock Lidditz campus.
Oh, uh-huh.
Right? That's like the one gig I've done during COVID that was a real gig. I went back there and I mixed this broadcast thing related to my friend, and
that's cool. Yeah, now they got a cool thing going on.
I got to see the State House of Pennsylvania on that trip, and all of that too. Supreme Court of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's one of the founding states. That's probably a 240-year building, something like that.
No, that built the Capitol. They rebuilt one in like 1906. But it's awesome, you know.
Yeah.
It's everything you'd expect in a Capitol building from Pennsylvania.
No, the whole of Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, and
So much history, like as you were saying, it really is. You really feel it while you're there.
Absolutely. For me, when you have dark days in that city, I like to go around and look at the architecture. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
they know how to get it done.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When I brought you in with the intro, I mentioned the great ABC. Now, this is a band, How to Be a Millionaire and Poison Arrow and all that. I'm more of a guitar rock edge guy, but that band was always fascinating. Martin Fry, I think it is. They were
Martin Fry.
Yeah, badass.
Good guy.
That is a good band.
Nice
a
guy.
A lot of fun with those guys.
I loved mixing that band because, as like a teenager or whatever, I was listening to that band going, listen to this. And, Trevor Horn as the producer and everything. I'm like, man,
immaculate.
This is really insane. This stuff sounds great.
Yeah.
I want to make it sound like that.
Yeah.
So when I did get to make it sound like that with those guys, that was cool. I was like, this is cool.
Yeah, no, they were one of the few. I guess you'd almost call it like a dance band. It's hard to pin them down, but they owned a lane in that music that they just nailed. I mean, they had it down. Like you said, Trevor Horn behind them. Some clean recordings.
It sounded great, and a lot of effects and stuff. It's sound man's dream because you could make a lot of effects and
keep you busy. I'm sure.
Yeah.
No, the good stuff for sure. Let's see. Oh, well, I know once in a while it's not something I know you get up to as a habit, but you've lectured over at a place like SAE. How does that usually work out for you? What you thinking on those schools?
Well, I did a good handful, probably a dozen at the Macquarie University in Sydney, Australia. And I probably did also a dozen at SAE, also in Sydney, Australia. It was great. I really had a cool time doing that. And, I kind of just told my story from how I started in the business to where I was at that point. And then I would open it up for questions. Yeah. And I loved that. I actually found the question part to be the most fun.
Yeah, the young, inspiring minds, trying to give them a little hope, get in the game.
Yeah, and sometimes they ask you like really weird stuff. They want to know about the artist, or they want to know about, well, how do I do it?
Huh? Somebody just chimed in over here asking you about Michael McDonald band.
Yes, the great Michael McDonald. It's funny because Tim Connor was here. We didn't talk about it.
He can't see that far who's chiming in.
Yeah, can you give us a name?
Yeah, Clay Racer.
Who's it?
Clay Racer.
Clay Racer.
Cool.
Yeah. Tim O'Connor, of course, I know him as the Doobie Brothers guy.
Yes.
He just left the building, just gave me a hug and bailed out and left us this little bottle of tree sap, whatever the thing is. But they know, of course, Michael McDonald is from the Doobie Brothers. And how did you like working with Mike McDonald?
I love Michael McDonald.
He's that voice, man, one of a kind.
Yeah. Right? As soon as he hits it,
Yeah, there's Michael McDonald. There's something about him, and he's kind of rocking that deep cool. He's got that white mane, and he's kind of a unique cat, and he's an extraordinary piano player. He's just talented as fuck.
And it's funny because in a lot of the songs, you don't have to put anything on his voice. You don't need a reverb or like somebody asked me that one time. They're like, what do you put on his voice? I'm like, well, most of the time, nothing.
You push up the gas and let it
go. They go, well, what do you mean? I go, well, it's Michael McDonald. The effects are built in.
He shows up with them.
Compress it and put it in your face, and it's like, you just can't go wrong like that.
Yeah, no, he is absolutely one of a kind and extraordinarily talented. And, he went from the Doobie Brothers to a phenomenal solo career. Very nice man. The few times that I've interacted with him.
Very nice.
Very pleasant, very professional.
Yeah.
Very, very talented. And I've never seen him not do a good show. I don't know if it's in him. I don't think he can.
I don't think he can.
Yeah. I mean, and that voice, how he keeps that voice that crisp and clean, and smooth. It's buttery.
Well, he sings and he plays all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, he must.
Like when we set up keyboard in the dressing room, and he'd come in and he just starts playing and singing, and he basically,
it's a real treat.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no,
it was a pleasure to work with, and that was one of those bands where you just kind of, you tune it around his voice and around his keyboard.
Sure.
And you bring everything else up.
Yeah, and then dialed.
And it's dialed.
Yeah, that's sweet spot right there.
Yeah.
As it is. Well, another guy that I had a very similar experience with that we've both worked for was Danny Elfman. Oingo Boingo
Yeah.
fame. I mean, talk about a badass. Talk about it all around. He's kind of, to me, in some ways, he's kind of the white prince. You know, he can play. He hears music.
can see that, yeah.
He just makes it happen. How was your experience with the great Oingo Boingo?
It was great. Well, the tour I did, they were actually Boingo. So it was basically the core of the band without the horns, and then they had Warren, from the Vandals.
No kidding.
On guitar.
Wow.
And Steve Bartek.
Yeah, I don't think I got to see that incarnation.
Yeah.
How did that go?
It was cool. It was really cool.
Well received?
Yeah.
Boingo, in the early days we were working with Boingo, they would put on a crazy show. I remember one time we did a thing in, I want to say Santa Cruz, California, Civic, and they brought in sand, and they filled the whole stage with sand, and then they put up 2 lifeguard towers and a beach ball net, and it was this big beach scene. It was awesome, kind of girls dancing and horns, and they just would go extra mile like that, like the kind of tube style. You know how Fee Waybill back in the days put on those big shows. Very cool.
I got to mix the tubes a little bit.
Yeah. So, well, our paths kind of cross on that level. Georgie Porgy used to run the tubes, and I'd be over there chasing around guitars and trying to keep the stage from being on fire, and and they're doing their best to light it on fire, and especially early days, white punks on dope shit. They were losing their minds. It was some cool shit. Very, very memorable shows.
Noah just chimed in.
Noah the Beard.
What's your favorite console?
My favorite console?
Yeah.
Are we talking like of all time or of?
Well, the one that you feel the love from.
Well, we were just marveling at the Gamble EX56
that's a sweet piece
backstage
of equipment.
over here. And, that is one of my all-time favorite consoles.
Yeah, great.
Got to do a lot of good stuff on that. We talked earlier, I did the Brian Setzer Orchestra on that. Yeah. Dirk's personal hot-rodded EX56, which sounded...
That's sweet.
It did. It sounded really sweet.
Hey, will you help me with something real quick right now? Look to the camera. Dirk, Schubert, we love you. We want you to come on the show, okay, buddy?
Come on, bud.
I've been working on Dirk for last few months. He had a little operation he had to deal with, but I would kill to have Dirk Schubert on this show. We tooled around in the social media quite a bit, and he's kind of like having Gandalf on the page with you. Nobody gets to slip. He knows every single detail of a technical aspect of pretty much any subject, and he's right there in the mix, and he's just a sweetheart. And I would love to have. We've talked about it, and hopefully at one point he'll feel comfortable and come be on the show. Because what a great interview that would be. It's really the history of rock and roll.
If I can do it, you can do it.
Dirk. Raz said if he can do it, you can do it. I feel like that was a challenge, buddy. You be nice to Dirk. Dirk, come on the show.
I love Dirk.
Oh, he's the best, man.
Dirk's one of my mentors that,
Yeah.
made all of my life, my charmed life possible.
Yeah, he's one of the best of us, I would say.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And he's still going strong, still sharp as a tack,
Without a
still
doubt.
killing it. Schubert Systems is still a concern, He's a badass, and so hopefully one of
Can I
these.
see a little Schubert logo come up there for a second?
Yeah, see the preview screen.
Yeah.
Flip it into program, Mikey.
Blam.
Bam.
Give some props right there.
I love the guy.
Hey, man. Yeah.
You mixed for Killing Joke.
Yes.
Talk to us about that. That's a band that puts on a hell of a show.
Yeah. A friend of mine, Arthur Mayo, he was the production manager and tour manager basically for Killing Joke, and he, said, come over to England and mix Killing Joke. And that turned out to be like a 1.5-year gig, going back and forth to England a bunch and living there and mixing them in all these old venues in Europe and crazy stuff. We played the lobby of the Tower Records, in Piccadilly Circus.
Yeah.
In London. Just crazy
cool.
stuff.
That
Yeah.
is too cool.
And then in the end, I went with the singer Jazz Coleman over to Switzerland, to Geneva, to stay in his friend's chalet. It was Jazz, me, and the keyboard player. And we each had our own room at this chalet at this place right by Lake Geneva. It was insane.
Oh, man.
Just crazy stuff.
Living the dream.
You can't.
Yeah, that's kind of perfect.
It was insane.
He lived a charmed life. You mentioned a minute ago that you have worked for Les Paul's godson, the great Steve Miller. Now this is Les Paul's got. This man was raised. His father had a thing about recording, visiting artists, and so he'd bring them home while Steve was a kid. You know the history of this. And Steve was raised around Muddy Waters, some of the baddest fucking ass. I mean, I don't know.
T-Bone Walker.
Right? T-Bone Walker, for Christ's sake. You know, Buddy Guy. They were a guitar legend.
Yeah.
His dad was recording them.
Well, he has, on his tour bus, he has a recording of T-Bone that his dad made.
Oh, man.
And he'll, like, it plays along with it, you know?
Oh, dude.
And while he's warming up
So
for the
cool.
show. And I'll come in on the bus, like, you know, it's half an hour or whatever. I'll bring the guys, or they do a vocal warm-up on his bus.
Sure,
Like,
sure.
I'm coming over half an hour. Okay, because he's rocking on the...
Yeah, he's warming up. He's getting that good energy.
No,
in
he's
him.
got it down.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
It's nice. It's nice to watch. I hang out for a minute, you know.
I always thought he was one of the, you know, we worked with him quite a bit. I think the last time we worked together was Oxbow with you with him. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And we've worked with him quite a bit through the years. I mean, the guy's phenomenal. He's been touring for 40 plus years and killing it. You look at him, and he's kind of one of those artists who doesn't look like a rock star, but he knows and has done and is considered one of the best guitarists. And I mean, literally, his godfather is Les Paul.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
what the hell? You know, and it's an amazing thing. How's it mixing his band? You know, because I know he can be.
Okay, now, I want to say unequivocally that I do not mix.
I'm
Miller
sorry.
Band.
You're his tour
I am
manager.
the tour
Excuse me.
manager.
My bad.
Because
We
that's
gotta
another
get that
guy you
correct.
probably want on your show is Scott Bourret, is
Yes.
the mixer of
and the great Steve
manager.
Miller.
He's the mixer and manager of Steve Miller
doing double
Band.
duty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which he also did for Y&T.
We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Y&T, you know, I think that was a band that went not as appreciated as they should have been. They were a pretty great band.
I fell into the tour manager of Steve Miller.
Yeah.
You know,
Great place to fall.
Brett, our friend, as you know.
Yeah.
He called me and said, "Hey, you know, why don't you come do this thing?" And I said no.
Why?
I said, I don't want to do that. I was doing Michael McDonald.
Oh,
and,
sure.
And, you know, I had other things going on too. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. And he's like, come on. I turned him down like 3 different times over, I don't know, a year and a half or 2 years or something. And then that's it. He said, come meet Scott. And I went and I met Scott. Scott and I hit it off. And that's, you know, it's been like 12 years at this point.
Very cool. Great association.
Yeah. Oh, and, you know, it's been a whole side career, not side career, but another career.
Yeah.
And I really learned how to hone in my tour managing and all that.
I bet. Yeah. No, he knows what he wants. And
yeah.
It's funny you mentioned we were talking about the tubes. I forgot that I had you down for the tubes. Yeah. So what's your experiences with Fee and the Fee Waybill, of course, from the tubes and you know the great tubes.
Well, again, it feels really cool to mix bands that you are a fan of.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You can't act like you were a fan of it, but yeah, no, I got to hang out with those guys and I had a good time with it.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
everyone was really nice and
a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, and you know, when it's not like when you're, you know, nothing against any cover band or anything, but like the difference of when you're actually mixing the band that does it and you get to hear like the Tubes doing the song, you're just like, you know, you're almost kind of blown away in your own.
Yeah, you kind of got to pitch yourself. Like they're
Gotta
paying
pinch
me
yourself.
to be here right now.
Yeah,
How is that a thing?
How is it that I got here, you know, from listening to this album in my car on almost as loud as it'll go, you know, to now here I am looking at Fee Waybill and we're gonna maybe go have a drink afterwards or whatever.
Yeah.
Cool. That's the dream right there. I got to mix Prairie in the studio on some side stuff, and just getting to work with him was like one of the highlights. Just getting to mic up his drum kit and actually record something.
Well, I got a Prairie Prince story where I was with my homeboy Dirty Don Daly.
Dirty Don.
You know Dirty Don.
That's
He's a lighting designer, you know, legendary
kind of
LD.
a legend in his own right.
He's a legend. He's a living legend.
Yeah.
And we were, we were on some thing and we were moving from plane to plane and we were at Heathrow and we went into the pub and we ran into Prairie.
Oh, boy.
And so we all sat at the same table and we had time to have a drink together and then, okay, good.
It's a small world, isn't it?
Big city, small world.
Hell
That's
yeah.
awesome.
That's real shit. Yeah, Prairie's a good cat. He was heavy.
Great guy.
Yeah, he's one of a kind.
Yeah.
I know you mix for a very special artist. A lot of technical necessity. A lot of work goes into the mix with this person. One of the in her time was one of the biggest artists in the world. You were out front for Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
Heavy.
Well, I think she isn't. I think still she's #1 selling female artist of all time.
I know she's got the #1 selling Christmas stuff. She killed it with that Christmas album.
Well, and I think
like
that's
year
what
in,
keeps
year
her
out,
on the
year
very
in.
top.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
at the time that I did it with her, I think she was #1 in the world of
Yeah.
female sales.
Yeah, well, I mean, she was married to Tommy Mottola,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
I mean, it's not like she, the head of Sony.
Yeah.
So she had the right backing. The chick's got pipes like all day, and of course, some folks like to stare at her. I guess I don't know, but
Nice shot right there. Yeah.
yeah, there she is. And she likes to be stared at apparently. So, but that stuff she does with that high register, man. Some of those notes she hits are like nuts. How are you controlling that at a board?
You just got to let it go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pure, so it comes out.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I got a story for you about Mariah Carey because when I was at SIR in the early days when I worked at SIR, we took a system over to the St. James's Club. I think it's called Sunset Tower now, right?
Yeah.
And it was a showcase for Sony,
that makes sense.
and it was Chris Becker,
Oh, that's shit.
okay, and my friend John Protzko. We were the two guys from SIR. And we set the whole thing up, and you could hear this like, it sounded like feedback, and we're looking over in the corner, and there's this tall girl over there singing, and she's kind of we're like, oh my God, that's somebody singing.
Yeah.
And that was the first record showcase for Sony for Mariah Carey.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow, formative days.
It was awesome, to be there for that, and
Yeah.
then to do other. I got to do the monitors for her for the rehearsals of when she sang "Emotion" on the Video Music Awards, because
No
they rehearsed
shit.
that at SIR
yeah,
also.
That was a
and
big
I-
deal.
Yeah.
She kind of killed that one. She murdered
Killed it.
that. Yeah.
And then my experience of doing all the front of house stuff, where I did like a bunch of stuff, was, that was more like 2012.
Wow. Heavy. Yeah, I think
It's
she's
great.
kind of dormant right now, or taking it easy. I don't know. Maybe she'll pop her head back up.
I hope
Mortgage
so.
tour or something. Yeah, I'm sure she's still got the chops.
You
The
know,
chick's kind of a singing machine.
I don't like it when people say, "Oh, she can't really sing that," or "She doesn't." I'm like, "Come on."
I would never say that. I know she struggles with doing sound checks. That's she's notorious for not being a big
doesn't.
sound check fan.
She doesn't need to sound
Well,
check.
to me, with artists like that, it's like, let me get the band dialed in.
Yeah.
I can do one channel on the fly. What the hell?
Well,
and with her, like you said, she comes out bringing the game. She's professional.
Yeah.
But she has been bit on the ass from not doing sound checks once or twice. You know that.
Yeah. Well,
But who hasn't? I guess you rolled down that street. That's just kind of a part of the game.
what do you do?
I noticed one thing that was fun for me when I was going through your stuff. I didn't notice about you. A band that I think is a highly misunderstood band because of what made them popular is very different than the roots music that they do, the music that they come from, which is a band Sugar Ray. You were out front for Sugar Ray, and of course they got that kind of poppy little jam that took them out and put them in the world. But before that album Lemonade and Brownies, which is an extraordinary album, some big hard rock stuff, like totally polar opposite of what they do. Which part of their career did you interact with Sugar Ray?
Well, when I first met those guys, they were like still the Shrinky Dinks and stuff.
Yeah.
And then, what was the first big hit song?
Was it Big Black? No, Green Machine maybe. Their first
Yeah.
one was that it
Well,
was.
they did what they did is a record premiere party debut thing, right?
Yeah.
And it was at the Tower Records that was in Costa Mesa.
Yeah, that's a great tower. That was a great Tower Records.
Right, and
Yeah.
so we took a system down there, and it was U.S. Audio, Pete Docter's U.S. Audio,
Of course.
and that's where I first started doing those guys. And then I did a bunch of stuff for them for like about a year on and off, just
Yeah.
all over. That's like they were just really starting to break.
You know, early on we used to call him the master of styles because they could literally be like jam out some crazy, crunchy, hard rock, just really put the feet on the gas and just kill it.
Yeah.
And then the next thing go into this R&B thing. They had an extraordinary ability to mimic styles.
Yeah.
And to do it well, to do it very well and kind of own it. And it was kind of when they were still kind of here, they hadn't quite made it there yet. They hadn't had that MTV hit that was kind of a...
It's kind of like I was like right in that transition.
Yeah. And that was fascinating to watch that and to be a part of that, you know, loosely around that. It was extraordinary to watch. And then they did a follow-up album to Lemonade and Brownies, which is one of my favorite album covers, you know, with the blonde-haired girl on the pillow. And I don't know, it's an extraordinary album and a great cover. And then they came out with that follow-up album, and they hit right off with that slow melodic song. I forget the name, but it didn't really sync for me. It didn't sit with me. But then that took him into the stratosphere, and then before you know it, he was on TV doing the Entertainment Tonight, I think it is, or so, Access Hollywood, or one of those.
Dirty Don is the one who told him, because Dirty also did their lights and stuff. Too,
Yeah,
you
of
know,
course.
there's the rotating, you know,
Sure,
the guys that come and go. And he told Mark, yeah, you should be a game show host.
He got the look. The kid's got
And then
the
he
look.
was the rock and roll trivia or whatever, right?
Yeah,
And
no,
he's great at it.
He
you know?
did really well on TV. I mean, the kid was a natural, you know.
Well, he's a natural star.
Yeah, another one of those kind of natural
Natural star and
yeah,
just a good guy. You know?
He's a very pleasant young man. He was always good.
Oh, yeah. Always very good to me.
We did already talk about Derek Schubert. I had to bring it up, you know, because he's a god. You're God. We want you here.
Show him the card.
Lord,
you didn't make it up.
Friendship with Dirk
There
Schubert.
it is.
It's here. I wrote it down with my words.
I love it.
I did it. It was in Sharpie too, Dirk. Wasn't no pencils. All right. Working for Speed of Sound. Now, of course, sadly, they went away. They aren't with us anymore. But, you know, they had a moment there when they were pretty happening. What was your experience with Speed?
Well, Mike King, you know, that was his company. And
Yes,
he
sir.
made it. And he made it by being a personable guy and being on the phone and stuff. You know?
He put in the work.
He put in the footwork
That's right.
to make it pay off.
That's
And,
right. That's
you know,
right.
I had a lot of cool stuff with that because, like, at the time, he had and, you know, here I am, I'm like 19 years old, and I'm like the whiz kid, and I'm very lucky to get in this position over there at Speed of Sound. It was the largest KF 550 system in the world at the time.
Killer system.
It was a killer system. It sounded great. It looked great.
Yeah, big fucking system.
Yeah.
Big sound.
Yeah.
It was sad. When I heard that they had went out of business, I don't know, it stopped me for a second.
Yeah.
It's like, you know,
a bummer.
on one level, I like less competition in the mix. At the same time, there was something they kind of had that sweet spot, you know, and we all can play in the yard reasonably well together. And Mike was a hell of a guy. So, yeah, it was sad to hear that went away.
Yeah.
But, you know, he certainly put in his time, and, you know, he did a lot for the live music, the live production industry, and moved the ball forward for sure, and gave a lot of us, you know, a shot at the Golden Ring. And
Yes.
so, you know, my hat's off to him. I hope he's enjoying his retirement, and you know,
Yeah,
life
he
is-
went out on top for sure.
yeah, for sure. That's a good way to put it. Absolutely. You know, I know that you're with one of my favorite bands. You know, there's certain bands out there that just really bring, you know, that thing where you just involuntarily move. You know, they get in the zone, they get in that pocket. Earth, Wind, and Fire, mixing Earth, Wind, and Fire, right? I mean, come on. There's Earth, Wind, and Fire, for Christ's sake. One of the best bands ever. Up in the house where my chick's at right now. Hello, honey, my beautiful Jackie from Slow Fiber, the love of my life. She's sitting in a house right now that if you look down, it's on a 5-acre property and kind of in the Monterey area, the Carmel Valley area, kind of between Carmel and Salinas. And right down the hill is, on the next 5-acre property down, is the old Earth, Wind, and Firehouse. It's
Nice.
just right below us, and it was dormant for years. It was just sat there. And recently, somebody moved in and cleaned it up, and it's a beautiful place, you know. But tell us about working with Earth, Wind, and Fire.
It was awesome. I did the first tour they ever did in Australia.
Oh man!
And it was funny, they call it a tour because they did it at Hilton hotels in like the biggest ballroom or whatever,
That's
right?
awesome.
And it was like 6 nights in a row in each place.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about putting in the
I
work.
substituted, I was subbing in for Tim Colvard,
Yeah.
you know, and Mike Parker, Mike, the monitor engineer, Mike.
Absolutely.
We had been working together with Sheena Easton, so he called me in and, you have a passport? Can you just sing? Blah, blah, blah. Yes, let's do
It
it.
was a natural fit. He brought you over from you guys shared with Sheena.
Sheena and stuff, yeah.
No, it was a natural fit. It made perfect sense.
No, it was great.
Great live band.
Again, here you are, pinch yourself. Am I really here mixing Earth, Wind, and Fire?
Yeah, it's crazy.
In another country, no less, for the first time.
It's almost a dream come true right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you start bringing up the sounds, and you're like, oh man, this is great. This sounds great. It's one of those kind of things where you really just kind of have to bring it up. You
just get it to, put some amplitude behind it and let
balance
it go.
it out and let it go.
Let them do their magic.
Yes.
And they do bring the magic.
Oh my God.
Yeah. There was very, very
wonderful,
special band.
wonderful special band.
How was it? I know you were out for a time with LL Cool J, kind of in his prime. What was that like?
Well, I was so, again, very, very lucky to be in the wrong place at the wrong time and get in there.
It's
and
kind of the story of your life, mister.
It certainly is. I was the front of house engineer for the Mama Said Knock You Out tour.
That's right. Now, if you don't know, that was LL Cool J at the height of Cool J-ness.
Look at that.
He couldn't have been bigger or better, and that was when there was a musicality to his game. There was a certain, they brought the production.
Oh, he had an edge.
Yeah.
He was on the edge.
And he was all pumped up, and he'd do his thing. He was
he used
testosterone
to do like in the dressing room, like on a rug like this. He'd be on there, and he'd have like 2 backup singer girls, the dancer girls, sorry, on his back, and he'd be doing like all these push-ups and all this stuff, and one-handed push-ups with 2 girls on his back. It was insane.
Well, he knew the rule about you don't come out to put on a show to make people sweat unless you're sweating already.
Oh, and
so he would come
brought
on
his
stage
show.
ripped and sweaty and ready to go. You know what I mean?
At one point, he did a thing where he broke out of a cage.
Yeah.
Right? It was made out of PVC, but it looked like a cage.
Yeah.
And Scotty Wallace, if you remember the great LD Scotty Wallace.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, you would know Big Scotty.
Yeah.
But he, designed this cage thing, and LL would break out of it. And
it was kind of perfect.
Awesome.
If you remember
it looked so good on the stage.
Well, that was his thing. He had he was very good with the visual aspects of the show. So like you mentioned, he had the dancers. There was a whole production, and you kind of need that in that rap time. And of course, at the time that we're talking about, this is I guess maybe 20 years ago now. You were a little. Let's not be dating ourselves too much, brother. But yeah, it was one of the hottest, biggest shows that was out at the time, and people loved it.
It was huge.
Yeah. And he's went on to do great things, as an actor and all kinds of stuff. The guy's very versatile. Very, very
very,
another
very
one of those
talented.
kind of built to be in the game.
Hey, Charlie chimed in. He's asking, Raz, do you get your most satisfaction working audio, TMing, or backlining?
Where's your love at?
Well, I haven't done tons of backlining. I did one tour as a guitar tech, and that ruined it for me. I decided I'd never do that again.
You're more of a guitar player than a guitar tech.
I'm more of a guitar.
It
is.
Yeah, that's what you do.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I got trouble on those. So.
Well, so TM or front of house? Where would you rather get paid to be?
Well, I don't know. I'm torn in it. I like both things, and sometimes I do both.
Of course.
I did a couple of tours with Jeff Bridges and his band.
Yeah.
Where I would, TM and stuff like that. I did also that for Lisa Loeb, where I was like,
she was fantastic.
Great, But I was the sound man, the tour manager, the guitar tech, the production manager, the driver of the van, the travel agent. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that.
I wasn't actually
sense.
the travel agent.
Well, but yeah.
She'd be mad if I didn't say that. So.
Well, but
not Lisa, the travel agent.
We've
Lisa.
all had that gig where you're collecting the money, like you're covering a lot of bases, Yeah, that was.
You do what you got to do.
Absolutely. I would say the majority of the middle to late, the 80s through the early 90s, that was the game. I mean, it really was good if you could, George up at front of house, me on Mons, stage managing, getting the band on, chasing down the venue manager to get paid, dragging him out of a bathroom window, kick his ass, take the money, he ain't paying us. That was just part of the job, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was Well, I was coming up. I thought that was how everybody did it.
Yeah.
You know, you cover all these bases. You get the guitar tech. You're the, you know.
Well, and that's like, you know, to answer his question more, like I'm a Virgo person, so the devil is in the details, and I love doing stuff like that. So I love to make the mix perfect. I love to make the arrangements perfect if I'm tour managing. You know what I mean? I want to do everything as good as I can, no matter what it is.
Well, you run a tight ship. I know that.
I try.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot. There's great. God lives in the details, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The small things, the little stuff. That's what makes or breaks moments like these, good shows, the overall tour. And being a good tour manager is an art in its own right. Let's be honest. You know, we get to express ourselves a little bit behind the board, but there's some art that happens in you know, keeping the band straight and getting it all to happen.
Well, and I again, you know, it's a charmed life. I've been lucky to work with all those greatest guys. I learned a lot in my early days working with Marty Hom.
Well, you're a student of this industry.
I worked with Alan Tate. I worked with a lot of these huge tour manager guys, you know, that are just like, and all I did was imitate these guys, you know, steal the best and write the rest kind of deal.
Sure. Check this question out right there. Charlie, I was going to ask it. I swear to God, Charlie, I had it right here. Which do you prefer, TM or front of house?
You're reading Vinny's mind.
No, me and Charlie are on the same page. Me and Godfather are on the same page.
That's
He's my
cool.
brother from another mother.
I like it.
Yeah. You mentioned Brian Setzer Orchestra earlier. You were out front for him, and that's a hell of a show. I mean, Brian Setzer is, first of all, one of the best guitarists in the game. He is that little motherfucker. Excuse me. That little dude is an extraordinary guitarist.
Great.
Really great guitarist. He's a great singer.
So
he
good.
brings a ton of energy to the show. You know, the band, his players, his backup guys are all hired guns. Just
Sings. He brings it. Yeah.
He's really a talented guy.
He's a showman.
He built for the job. You know,
he's a showman.
Really
He's a natural showman.
Yeah, he really channels that energy. How is it mixing him down?
Oh, it was great. It was really cool because that was when it was Brian Setzer Orchestra. So it was, you know, drum kit, stand-up bass.
That's right.
Brian.
Yeah.
And 13 horns. And that's where I had that Gamble EX56 and a bunch of, you know, great outboard gear and all that stuff. And
it's pretty cool.
That was great.
Yeah, you can't really go wrong about that. All right.
Well, and a highlight of the tour with him is I got to mix him at the anniversary of Woodstock.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, on 126 S4s.
Oh, man.
No fucking way.
You just said it. 126.
Jesus Christ.
126. That's awesome, dude.
It was incredible.
Oh, I bet that sounded.
And then later that day, they burned the PA down. That's when the Red Hot Chili Peppers and like it was that same day. And, and the PA.
Limp Bizkit started that. Well, the crowd was there. The crowd was hot.
Crowd was crazy.
Yeah, but when they broke in that song, when they broke into the song Break Shit Up, the song was called Break Shit Up. That's exactly what they did. And then they burned down the fucking delay towers.
Yep.
That was something to see.
I remember this story because they tried to get him to leave the stage, and they're like, no, you can't do that.
There was no shutting it down at that point. It would have been a friggin' riot.
That's right.
A guy sent me a picture, and it was magnets. He goes, "This is all that's left of the delay tower."
Yeah, well, if you notice, some of the superstructure had melted into itself.
Yeah.
This was a hot fire. This was a
I can imagine.
massive delay towers, and they went completely to ash, and that was a rock and roll moment for sure.
Yes.
I mean, really, that's what that was. That was.
So we played our show, and you know, we got on our tour bus and we drove out, and we were watching. It was being broadcast at the time live.
That's right.
So we were watching it on the satellite TV on the tour bus, right? And you know, a couple hours down the road, we're watching it, and we're like, look, it looks like it's getting kind of crazy. Oh, it's on fire! Oh! You know, we were calling people and they're like, "No, we got to get out of here!" You know, the people I know all they had to bail. They left their everything.
Yeah, no, it was kind of half in. It was like some people, it invigorated them to act even more obnoxious, and other people were just fleeing.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a 50-50 thing. You know, some people were
the worker people that were on the crew were. Basically, you know, they told them get out of here.
Yeah, there was of course, at that point, it wasn't a safe environment there.
Yeah.
The front of house was
crazy.
The front of house must have had like 50 cops around it at that point. The cops just swarmed front of house and just barricaded it. They kind of faced out to the audience, and you couldn't see over them. It was a thing, man. It was friggin'. It was. I don't want to say scary because it was kind of exhilarating, but there was a But if you had a friggin' brain in your head, you knew that this was a special moment in rock and roll, and to keep your head about you because you could get out of hand.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of already out of hand.
It's like 250,000 people at this thing. It's like that's a lot of energy.
Yeah, and they were channeling it in a very specific way at that point. And of course, Limp Bizkit is known to feed certain energies, and they brought it that night, and they were on fire. To their credit, they came out and they were friggin' kicking ass. And the audience had just had a whole weekend at that point, and they just pulled out their lighters and went into town. And
Fred was running on hate and hot dogs.
Oh, my God. And he was not doing much to try to tamp it down. He was kind of feeding it, and they didn't stop the song. I mean, like, it's a real, if you don't know what we're talking about, you should investigate, was it 99, was it? Was Woodstock 99?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Well, it was 99, yeah. And it's something to see. It's an incredible moment in rock and roll history. Listen, man, I got more questions for you, baby, but we're running up against it.
Oh my God!
Any
quick
how do
barrage?
I talk to a guy about what's that?
Any quick barrage of?
Look at I did it on the back page. In case I had room. Talk to us about Night Ranger, Leanne Rimes, Kenny Loggins, any other artists you.
Night Ranger, awesome. Dream band to mix.
They were extraordinary with
Loggins.
Their time. Yeah.
Legend. Who else on there?
Of course, Leanne Rimes, the great.
Oh yeah, Leanne Rimes. I got to.
And then, of course, you mentioned already Jeff Bridges working with him.
Yeah.
Is
the dude. Come on.
The dude. He abides, as you know.
Yeah, as I do.
Yes, he does. Listen, my brother, you came all the way up here to see us. We appreciate you so much. It's so good to see you. You look great. I can't wait for us to be back doing what we do together. I very, very much appreciate it.
Thanks for being the first guest to level him up on that outfit, man. A+.
Yeah.
Come on.
He came in and tried to.
I've been accused of being fancy before, so
So he's gonna come in next time, all like he's gonna get a scarf, but it's gonna have a bunch of his faces all up and down it.
Yeah, why not?
So
I'm available for style consulting.
We'll get on a Zoom and be like, does this work?
You got to be flexible in the
Can I
music
pull this
business,
off?
right? You
Talk
gotta,
to me, baby.
That's my new career, stylist.
Styled by Raz.
Yeah.
You get him looking
Why not?
Listen, man, nobody's ever called me fancy before, said I don't think that's going to be a pro.
I'll help you.
You're the best. Thank you, Jeffrey. It was a great honor to see you, man. I'm
Great
so
to
glad
see you, bro. I love you.
I love you, pal. Thank you for coming in. Another great interview with an amazing human being. We're so fortunate. We get very, very lucky here at this show. And we really want to thank you guys for tuning in. We really do it for you. Hey, listen, a little quick reminder. We got friends out there that do similar things to us, like the good people over at EAW's user group, the wonderful Jim Newhouse and his people, Nancy Diaz. We love them. They're one of our favorite manufacturers. Go check out their page. It's really cool on Facebook. Our good friends, Kyle, Michael, and Chris at Signal to Noise podcast. They're badasses. You want to get into the ones and zeros of the game, get away from the Johnny Carson vibe that we roll with. They're over there talking shop, doing the tech talk, nerding out. Check them out, Signal to Noise podcast, and on any place you can find a podcast. The good people at Sweet Treatments, our lovely Jackie Corset. I don't know, what's the word? Like some affirmation, some good speak. You need to talk to friends.
Some good vibes.
People in our industry that are maybe feeling a little like, when's this going to end? Go over to the Loving Hands for Stagehands people. John Del Rio, my brother, and some of the guys that run this page on Facebook. It's for us. It's for stagehands, roadies, technicians, IATSE. When they're having one of those days, man, they're trying to find the light at the end of the tunnel. They help each other do that. Go check them out. Remember, we've got podcasts available. Kyle, my good friend, we're going to put Kyle on the spot right now. Kyle, you going to put some shows up on the podcast for us?
Potentially. We'll see.
Kyle, please, will you do it? Kyle.
I got you.
Kyle. Okay. All right. Thank you, Kyle. We podcast on Amazon Music, Google Podcast, iTunes, Stitcher, any place you can find a podcast. Go check us out if you want to hear the audio tracks of this. We are going to do this again next week with the one and only the great Bob St. Laurent. He's extraordinary. Started out as a runner at the amazing Shoreline Pavilion. He's worked with everybody from David Bowie. I mean, just all the big ones, He has his own golf tournament. He has his own radio show. He's Bob St. Laurent. He's a badass. He's coming on next week. He's going to sit right in that chair. We're going to get up in his world. We're going to take and pick his brain and talk about it. So why don't you come back next week at 7 p.m. on Thursday. We'll do it all again. Until then, be good to each other. Be kind. Take care of yourselves. Good night.